All right, in this video, we're going to look at naming acids. So what's an acid? Well, all acids start with at least one hydrogen atom. So we have two types. We have mono and we have poly acids. So acids that are mono have one acetic hydrogen. So we have some examples. We have HCl, and we have this giant mess, HC2H3O2. But both of these examples start with just one hydrogen. Poly, remember, means many. These are acids that have more than one acetic hydrogen. So we have H2SO4, H3PO4. Okay, so there are a lot of rules to these. First, let's talk about naming acids without oxygen. These are all going to start with the prefix hydro. We're going to write the anion's root word, but we're going to drop the ending. Instead, we're going to add the suffix IC, and we're going to end with the word acid. For example, HCl. We're going to start with hydro. We're going to have the root word for chlorine, so chlor, and then we're going to add the IC suffix right here. And then finally, we are going to end with the word acid, which is right here. So hydrochloric acid, hydrochloric acid. All right, let's do an example. So in this first example, we don't have any oxygen, so we're going to start with hydro. We have bromine, so this is going to be bromic acid. So here's our suffix, IC, and then we're ending with acid. Hydrobromic acid, hydrobromic acid. All right, so in this case, we have two hydrogens. So this is a poly. So this one is going to start with hydro. We don't have any oxygens. Sulfur, so sulfuric, and then acid. Hydrosulfuric acid. All right. Now we have HCN. So CN is a polyatomic. So we've got hydro, because we don't have any oxygens. And then this is cyanide, but this is going to be cyanic, and then acid. Hydrocyanic acid. All right, one last example here. No oxygen, so we can just start off with hydro. Phosphorus is going to be phosphoric. And then acid. Hydrophosphoric acid. Okay, so those were relatively easy. Now let's do acids with oxygen. So instead of starting with hydro, we skip that step. We're going to go right to writing the anion's root word, but we're going to drop the ending. So for polyatomics, if it ends in ATE, we're going to add the suffix IC. If it ends in ITE, we're going to add the suffix OUS. So we have two examples here. We have nitrate, so that would follow this first rule here. So if it ends in ATE, we're going to add the suffix IC. For the second example, we are going to follow the second rule. If it ends in ITE, we're going to add the suffix OUS. All right, let's do some examples. So for the first one here, H2CO3. We do have an oxygen, so we're not going to start with hydro like we did before. So CO3 is carbonate. So that ending we're going to change. It's going to follow our rule. So if we have an ending with ATE, we're going to change it to IC. So this will be carbonic acid. Remember, we dropped the hydro because we have an oxygen right here. Let's do another example. Again, I see an oxygen, so we can't start with hydro. So SO3 is sulfite, and that would follow our other rule. So this is going to be sulfurous acid. So we change that ending to OUS. Okay, here we go. HClO. So we have an oxygen, so can't start with hydro. ClO is hypochlorite. It ends in ITE, so we're going to go ahead and change that ending. This will be hypochlorous acid. And one more. H3PO4. Again, I see an oxygen, so we need to make sure that we're dropping that hydro. We're not using that. PO4 is phosphate. So this will be phosphoric. We're going to have that IC ending because it ends in ATE, and then acid. Phosphoric acid. All right, so now we're going to go the other way. Now we're going to write the formula from the name for the following 4 examples. So you know if it ends in IC, we are needing an ATE ending. So this will be bromate. Because remember, ATE turns into IC. Bromate is BrO3. And in order for this to be an acid, remember, we're going to need a hydrogen. The hydrogen has a plus charge. BrO3 has a minus charge. So when we combine these two, this will be HBrO3. All right, phosphorus acid. Well, if we have the ending OUS, that means that we're going to have phosphite. So remember, ITE turns into OUS, so we're just doing the reverse. Phosphite is PO3 with a -3 charge. And then remember, all acids start with that hydrogen. Hydrogens have a +1 charge. So to balance this out, we're going to need 3 hydrogens. So this will be H3PO3. All right, let's do one final example here. Hydrofluoric acid. Well, since it has hydro, we know it's not going to have an oxygen. And then fluoric means that it's fluoride. So we've got a fluorine, which has a -1 charge. And then, of course, acids start with a hydrogen. So we have a hydrogen with a +1 charge. We have fluorine with a -1 charge. So this will be HF. And that is how you name acids and write their formulas.